Hey guys, welcome back. I've got another good overview for you today. This one is on the Hiya Toys G.I. Joe Storm Shadow. Stick around and I'm going to go through my collection, some of my mint on card and loose Storm Shadows, do a little comparison, have a little photo shoot at the end. I hope you'll stick around. Alright, now before I get Storm Shadow open, I thought it'd be cool to do a little comparison with some of the other Storm Shadows that I still have mint on card. Alright, so I'm going to very quickly go through some of the mint on card Storm Shadows that I have here right by me. This is not all of them. This is just the few that I had nearby. Half of my Storm Shadow collection is at my mom's house, actually, and my brother and I get them out every now and then and look at them. That's why they're there. There's more an opportunity for him and I to look at them. He did pick up the classified version, the very first version, the very first Storm Shadow classified version, and we do have that mint on card as well, and that's in that collection. Storm Shadow was always his favorite character, so it was one of my favorite as well. So we do have a very good mint on card collection of Storm Shadows. He never opens them. He never wants to open them. I do. I always try to buy doubles. But these are the ones that I had closest by. They were the easiest to get to. We'll start off with a couple of movie versions. This is the Storm Shadow Ninja Mercenary Rise of Cobra. And there are several versions of the Rise of Cobra. My loose collection is much larger than my mint on card collection. I'll do those next so we can get a good glimpse at some of the other Storm Shadows that we've got. This one's not bad. He has trouble spreading his legs and getting in some dynamic poses because of his lower jacket there. There's another version without that jacket, and he is also unmasked, but this is based on the movie. It's not a bad figure. It's fairly common, very easy to get. These other two versions I do not have loose, and they're both from the G.I. Joe Retaliation line. This Storm Shadow here, and this one here. This one I think's pretty darn good. Like I said, I don't have him loose. You can see that the Storm Shadow always in white, right? But these two versions, I can see that they're very similar. This is a very good version. It's not bad. I guess it's one of the more recent ones. Not a bad version at all. And here is another one. This is the last one mint on card I'm going to show you. This is the Pursuit of Cobra Storm Shadow Cobra Ninja. This one's a completely different take on Storm Shadow. It's got soft goods. As always, most G.I. Joes always come with tons of accessories. I do have this one loose. I'll show you next. The loose version I bought off of someone, so it's missing a few of the weapons. I think these claws are missing and maybe the stand, but most of it's there. It's a nice Storm Shadow. It's just a completely different version. This one's a little bit harder to get, a little more expensive. All the Pursuit of Cobra stuff is. But you can see here that none of these come in this packaging, and this packaging is, to me, as iconic as the Star Wars Racetrack Vintage Collection. And I'm really glad that Hiya Toys chose to use this packaging and not put it in a box and not go in a different direction. In my opinion, G.I. Joes always need to be in this bubble, in this card. The only thing I would say is I wish they would have done the logo in the more traditional look with the blue star and the red, white, and blue here. But the card it's nice. It's got great artwork. And I'll do a little comparison with cards too here in a sec, so that I can kind of explain more what I mean about the card and the colors, and so on. And I think it's important to note that I am a G.I. Joe person. Star Wars and G.I. Joe are really close to my heart. It's my two favorite properties, two favorite lines growing up as a kid. That's one of the reasons that I am into this scale and not 112 and 6 scale and all that other stuff. But the card back is really important to me. The packaging is really important to me. And I all these other lines, they're not bad, and there's some pretty good Storm Shadows in here, and particularly these two, and that one's pretty good too. This one's just okay. But these lines I think would have done a lot better if they would have gone to this more traditional card like the 25th anniversary, which I'll show you next. But there's this, I'm really glad Hiya went this way. It is a nice card. Um, and I'm glad that they chose this instead of the Judge Dreads with the shield, or the the predators or the aliens that are in boxes. Even though they're collector friendly, I still feel that GI Joe has to come this way. Um, those the classified guys, those are great figures. I know they are, but they come in a box. Some of them don't have windows, some of them do. The artwork doesn't totally match what the figure is inside. They're kind of anime pictures on some of them, and then the figure inside is realistic. I I in my opinion, this is how it should come. I've seen the classifieds on the card back, and again, in my opinion, that figure is too big to be on a bubble card like this. This is one of the reasons, that I guess I don't feel the nostalgia for those classified figures, because the scale, the packaging, and when they do put it in the packaging, the correct style packaging, the bubble on card, it just doesn't look right. It looks too big. The card isn't as nice and sturdy as this one is, or even this one. These two are a little thinner, but this Pursuit of Cobra, the 25th anniversary, and now this Hiya Toy Joe, nice thick cardstock, sturdy, doesn't vein or bend very easy, doesn't ding as easy, and that's how I think it should be. All right, so before I open up Storm Shadow, I thought it'd be kind of cool to look at some of the former packaging that Hiya Toys has tried to emulate here, and I think it's a little bit down the middle. I think the 25th anniversary card back here on the left is actually the best one. Um, you can see the size of the bubble, the image on the top, the GI Joe image there, the logo. I think this is the closest thing to the original, and the cardstock is nice and thick. It's got the hanger at the top. I think this is the closest thing they've got to recreating the original, and it looks great. On the right here is I guess the most recent Hasbro offering, which was the Walmart exclusive 3 and 3/4 GI Joes, and this cardstock was super thin, really hard to keep in good shape. This one, see, it's got some veining there. The bubble, I always thought the bubble was too big, too narrow, too long. Um, this Hiya Toys, it's a happy medium. The bubble is a little bigger, but the figure's a little bigger. Um, but they spread it out a little more. They put more of the accessories behind the figure than rather than this version. They always seem to put them at the top. There is something behind there. There is a stand behind there. They always seem to stretch out the bubble. Um, they are all exactly the same size if you put them back to back. I think this is probably the most sturdy and best cardstock. It's closer to what I think is the best than the least of them, if that makes sense. So this is a real happy medium. The one difference, though, are the back. They did show the file card and some of the other figures in the accessories, and that's the only miss that I think this Hiya Toys packaging has. Um, it doesn't have the file card, and I'm a sucker for file cards. I used to cut them out as a kid. Um, I love the file cards. I still have a lot of file cards from this 25th anniversary. I didn't save so many of these ones because they come in, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different languages. Um, but I do like what Hiya's got going on here. It's a great card, very sturdy. I like that they chose to go with this traditional card rather than the boxes like Classified's doing. I know that some of the Classified stuff has come on cards, and at that scale, in my opinion, I'm not a 112 collector, doesn't look right. It's just too big of a figure to have on a card. It belongs in a box, but maybe a box with a window. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. At 118, at 375, I want it on a card. I want it with a bubble, and I want it to look like this. This card back is as iconic to me growing up in the 80s as the Star Wars Vintage Collection racetrack. It's one of the reasons that I still collect the Star Wars Vintage Collection stuff. I would collect it even if the card was different, because I have bought many G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, Retaliation. I bought all those, Pursuit of Cobra was nice too. But this traditional card back, I love it. I'm kind of surprised when people say, oh, it's kind of plain, it's kind of this. You don't mess with a good thing, you don't change a recipe that's working. And I think they missed on this, the quality of the card, the size of the bubble. They missed. This one, they got it right. And this one here, it's closer to right than wrong, in my opinion. I do really like it. It's got a great image. I think it'd be cool if they would have put the red, white, and blue here, blue star. But maybe that's proprietary. I don't know. But that's just my opinion about the packaging. Let's move on to the figure. All right, so I finally got Storm Shadow out of package, and he is awesome. I've only, played around with him here for a few minutes, but I can say this Storm Shadow is now been brought up to the 2023 standard of articulation that all 118 375 figures should have. He now has the thigh swivel. He's got double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. He has the diaphragm crunch and the waist swivel. And those points, what is that? 2, 4, 6, like 7, 8 new points of articulation. And I could tell right away too, some of you guys, if you've been playing or you have lots of different Hiya toys, and I do, I have a lot of different Hiya toys products. This one doesn't feel as fragile as they have in the past. Even my most recent, RoboCops or the DC Injustice, my Predators, my Alien Marines, this guy doesn't feel quite as fragile. He does feel, he's like a happy medium between a toy and a collectible. But man, he is awesome. They did such a good job on the arm there. That tattoo just looks great. So now that I've got him out, let's compare him to some of my other Storm Shadows that I have loose. Now he does stand pretty easy. That's why I didn't put him on the stand. Of course, now I'm having a little trouble, but he seems to stand just fine. There we go. Without the stand. But let's compare him to some of my other Storm Shadows. All right, as promised, here are my loose Storm Shadows. And this new Hiya Storm Shadow is, in my opinion, the best one they've ever done, or at least it is the most modern now. It's brought it up to date. And I think you can tell by this picture. I'll kind of go through them one by one, or, in groups here. So these are the movie versions. These are actually the same figure, just different paint jobs. But you can see that those two sort of take on that sort of classic checkered, Storm Shadow that from the past. Didn't put this one up because he's not complete. Can't find his swords, but this is the 25th anniversary version. So let's kind of put him right there. You can see he's 375. And so he's even shorter than these movie ones. He is a real 375, and G.I. Joe, like I mentioned earlier, has gone to the full 118 4-inch scale, which is nice. But that's the 25th anniversary, or one of the versions of the 25th anniversary. There's several versions. I think these two are actually the newest ones. These are from the Toys R Us exclusive. was it 50 anniversary? I can't quite remember, but it was an anniversary, blue packaging. Um, some of them were double packs. These are the same figure, different head, same body, um, just a few different accessories, different belts. This one came with a red belt, a few different things. I put the fan on his hand just to kind of make it a little different. Um, Here is that Pursuit of Cobra with the chain. It's pretty good. That's still a pretty good version. Not bad. I think this is the Renegades Storm Shadow, and it's not bad either. Completely different take. He's got a much bigger chest, um, and this is removable. I usually display him with this hat, but I'll take it off really quick. He has more of like a bandage head, almost like the Invisible Man kind of got a bandage sort of head. Um, this one's a little different too. I do like this unmasked version. I like the fact that he's carrying a gun in these Pursuit of Cobra, or not Pursuit of Cobra, but the Rise of Cobra figures. I know some people don't like these at all, but I actually like this one without the mask. Um, but yeah, easily best one there is right now. I know some people won't agree with that, but it's just my opinion. But it's funny because some of these he always has the tattoos. There's tattoos, got one on each arm there, one on that shoulder. Um, I guess those are the only ones that shows the tattoo. But here, now he's got the full sleeve. But it's a great figure. I really like it. I do think it's the best of the bunch here. Um, you could see though, if I had those other ones that I showed mint on card, I think those are even a better than a few of these here, but I don't have them loose, unfortunately. But yeah, this guy is definitely the best, and he scales. He is a true 118. These guys are 118 too. You can kind of tell that they're a little bit bigger than the 375, but he is a true 118. He's a little bit taller than 4 inches. I think he's probably like 4 and a quarter, 4'1". Um, but yeah, this definitely brings G.I. Joe 118 or 375 up to modern standards with the articulation, with the paint apps. Good array of accessories. Not quite as many as Pursuit of Cobra or some of the other anniversary ones, but the best, I think, hands down. All right, so that is my overview of the Hiya Toys G.I. Joe Storm Shadow. I know that the packaging and a lot of those things, they might not pertain to some of you guys, but I know you, for lack of a better word, you diehards like I am. All that stuff matters, and the comparisons with the other Storm Shadows, I know some of you guys out there have some of those. There's so many of them, but I do think this is probably the best Storm Shadow, that's ever been made at this scale now. I would say this is a buy for anyone who's, into G.I. Joe, for anyone who just likes ninjas or just cool action figures at this scale. This is a must buy. And I think at 20 bucks, which most of these are, I think I've seen it for 22 as well. I think it's a good deal. You do get all these extra accessories, the stand. I think this is a buy. I don't think you should pass this up. If you can get this guy, I would. This is not something to pass up on or try to get later. I have a feeling it's going to be difficult to get. I picked this up off of Cool Toys. I think I mentioned that in my haul video, and I picked up one off of Gundamit.com. But this is a buy. This has got to be one of my most anticipated figures of this year, and it did not disappoint. I would not pass this guy up. And I'm glad I picked up two to keep one mint on card, because I do really like the packaging, like what Hiya's done here. I'm really excited to get my Snake Eyes. I did also pre-order the Cobra Commander, and they just recently announced a Beachhead. I've always been drawn more to the bad guys. Storm Shadow, Zartan, and Destro are probably my three favorite Joes, or three characters from G.I. Joe, even though all three are Cobra. But this guy did not disappoint. I am super happy to have him, and I think if you get a chance, you should try to grab it too. All right, I'm going to take some photos now, try to have some fun. If you got this far, thank you very much. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later.